Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got the CEO of RenovoRx joining us to talk about Q3 and give us an update on their product pipeline. This is one we initially covered about a month ago on the channel, and I'm super excited to provide an update. Now before we get into it, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of RenovoRx, what you thought about their Q3 operational and financial highlights, and your thoughts on today's discussion. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right, we've got the CEO of RenovoRx, Shaun Bagai, here to answer some questions, talk about their platforms, their pipeline, and their impressive Q3 results, which just came out this month. So Shaun, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. There's a lot going on with this organization. It's one that's definitely close to my heart. You guys are focused on oncology. Unfortunately, my stepfather passed away last Christmas due to cancer. So this is definitely one that I'm passionate about. I'm excited to have you here. But for people who maybe missed that initial deep dive a couple of weeks ago, can you give us a high-level summary of yourself and how you kind of ended up at Renovo?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity. So Shaun Bagai here. I've been in the medical technology space my whole career. I was actually med school bound initially, spent what would have been a year as an intern at a startup company, the medical device space. And the founder actually really had a big impression on me. He was a physician who wasn't practicing, and I never understood why he wasn't a practicing physician. And he said, look, you can, as an entrepreneur, develop therapies that really touch a lot more patients than you can as a single physician. And through his guidance, I actually declined med school when I got in with the hopes of someday building therapies that really impact patients in a much larger way. I've been very lucky that I've a few times in my career done that. My first company got acquired. Second company got acquired by Medtronic for almost $1 billion. Third company is doing very well. Yet this RenovoRx is probably the biggest potential impact. To actually make a difference in pancreatic cancer is our first mission. And in cancers in general, it looks like this should hopefully be my biggest success and really make an impact in patients' lives. I was lucky to be introduced to the founder years ago. I've known him, who invented the whole therapy, Dr. Nagar. And we connected back in my early days of that first company through my time at Medtronic. And I got tapped on the shoulder to take over this company about 9 years ago.
Yeah, it really is amazing. Anytime we're talking about these biotechs or biopharma, I always like to relate it back to the impact it has on people's lives, right? It's not only an investment opportunity, but it's really an opportunity to better society. And especially with something as far reaching as your platform, really hundreds of thousands of people a year potential out there. So that was going to be my next question, Shaun. I know you've got a lot of different things kind of in the works, but I wanted some more detail about your TAMP platform itself and how that allows you to do targeted delivery to really address some of these diseases or conditions.
Yeah, we're tackling cancer in a very different way. When you think about cancer therapy, you think about let's give more poison to the body, unfortunately. And right now, the standard of care for tumors like pancreatic cancer, liver tumors, lung tumors is you give more drugs on more drugs with toxicities and side effects. What we found specifically in pancreatic cancer is it's not that the drugs don't work, it's just that they're not reaching there. And so I'll show you a little animation on how that works. Basically, if you look at chemotherapy in general, it's systemic. You give it through the arm or through a chest port, it goes through the entire body. And in tumors like liver tumors, which are actually treated pretty well today, they're highly vascular. They have a lot of blood supply to the tumor. So dedicated blood supplies actually go to the tumor itself. Systemic chemotherapy is able to reach there. And there's also a local target that maybe put a small plastic tube or microcatheter. The pancreatic tumors and other tumors like those don't have these tumor feeders. They're relatively avascular, meaning they don't have large blood supplies. They grow slowly, they die on the inside, and so the chemotherapy doesn't actually reach the tumors. So our whole idea is to force drug into the tissue and get a high dose of concentration into the tissue directly by using our delivery mechanism we call it TAMP, or trans-arterial microperfusion. This is done by placing our delivery system next to the tumor. This is done under X-ray fluoroscopy or X-ray guidance. And the patients receive a full dose and volume of systemic chemotherapy in a small space next to the blood vessel, and pressure forces the chemotherapy in the tissue. So we see the drug actually go through the vessel wall, and we saturate the tumor in chemotherapy. So a very different approach to get what normally is delivered to the whole body, but localizing the tumor directly. And starting off with pancreatic cancer, this is applicable to many solid tumors like pancreatic cancer tumors.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. Pancreatic cancer and the chemotherapy just did him in. So I can definitely relate to that. It makes sense, the delivery method, as those tumors are a little bit more isolated maybe than some of the others in the body. So aside from that delivery platform itself, what would you say kind of differentiates RenovoRx from some of the other players in this space?
So what's interesting with our trial, I go to the data, is that we're now in a phase 3 registrational trial. So we're very late stage. A lot of players, especially the pancreatic cancer space, are early stage. What we've seen, unfortunately, is most of these companies fail. They keep trying to give drugs systemically or haven't discovered this trans-arterial approach that we have. And they're early stage, and when they actually get to the clinic or later stage clinics, the drugs aren't any better than what's currently out there. What's amazing about the progress we've made is we've now demonstrated in our phase 3 trial with an interim analysis within the study that we're actually seeing a massive survival benefit and a decrease in toxicity or side effects in these patients.
Yeah, I remember we covered that specifically in our initial deep dive, and it's kind of a double header, right? You're getting less toxicity, but also longer longevity in life. So it really does seem quite effective at doing that. Now, you've also got the RenovoGem product or platform as well. So tell us a bit about that one, Shaun.
So the idea of TAMP or trans-arterial microperfusion, we've invented this mechanism of pushing drug across the vessel wall and saturating the tumor in chemotherapy. That's applicable across many tumors, many agents. RenovoGem is a combination therapy or a kit, and it's basically our delivery system with an existing drug called gemcitabine. We know the drug works. This actually does kill pancreatic tumor cells. The issue is getting it there. So we've now demonstrated in our phase 3 trial that this is being successful. To talk about the data is really the most important part. We actually have strong data now. If you look in comparison what's been done in pancreatic cancer in the last few decades, you see very little difference in adding new drugs and new therapies. The last major improvement was in 2013 with the addition of not just gemcitabine, the drug we're using, they added a drug called Abraxane or nab-paclitaxel. And if you look at the survival curve, you can see a very little difference between the previous drug and the combination therapy. In fact, it's only a 7-week difference. So you see a very little improvement along with the toxicities and side effects. What's interesting about RenovoGem is now we've demonstrated in the interim analysis in our phase 3 trial a massive separation of those curves. So you look at the standard of care, Abraxane, which was recently presented back in 2013 approved, versus our therapy, RenovoGem, which is localized chemo, you see not a 6 or 7 week or 8 week difference, which is considered blockbuster, but a 6-month difference. So you see a large separation of the curves in terms of survival. 6 months doesn't sound a lot, but with the life expectancy is around 10 to 20 months, 6 months makes a big difference. So now we're pushing the boundaries of expected 15 months of survival for these non-metastatic pancreatic cancer patients to almost 2 years. To tell pancreatic cancer patients they've got a 50% chance of 2-year survival is completely a game changer.
It definitely is. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, are dealing with weeks and days, right? So another half a year potentially is so much more time with your loved one and families. Now, the other thing I wanted to pick your brain on a little bit, you announced a partnership with Imugene this year. Can you give us a bit of an update? What's the goal with that partnership, and what are some things to kind of watch for there?
Yeah, so as we're showing this TAMP platform works, we're turning the heads of other companies on, okay, if we can have such great success by localizing therapy, what can they do with our therapy? So Imugene has an oncolytic virus. The way that an oncolytic virus works, it turns the tumor what's called hot, with the goal of turning on the body's immune system to attack the tumor, not just locally, but also systemically. As much as we've been focusing on non-metastatic pancreatic cancer, local disease, the combination with Imugene gives us the opportunity to treat more patients. We can go beyond this to treat metastatic patients as well. So showing that we can actually get high concentrations of an agent, in the case of gemcitabine, we've seen a 100-fold tissue concentration increase by localized therapy. Imugene saw the benefit of partnering with us as well. So much more to come on that partnership as we get into the clinic. But it really gives more validation to the platform that this can go beyond our first product candidate, RenovoGem, and build out a large platform to really help a lot of patients.
Yeah, the Imugene one is one we'll continue to watch, and hopefully this is kind of an ongoing relationship and coverage to keep the viewers updated. But definitely turning some heads and really solidifying, I guess, all the work you guys have done. Now, the other big one, I feel like I've got a laundry list for you here, Shaun. The other big one is Q3 results. I think they maybe came out on the 14th. There was some big operational stuff in there. There was some financial updates as well. What were kind of the key takeaways on the operational side?
So really coming off the heels of positive interim data announced, and when I say positive data announced, we actually presented this at ESMO GI. It's one of the largest GI oncology conferences. It was 3 of 5 abstracts accepted for oral presentation out of 500 that were applied for. So it had an impact on the medical community that this looks like it's a therapy for the first time working in pancreatic cancer. Operationally, that's really helped bolster our team. So on the heels of that data, we pulled in a new board member, Dr. Bob Spiegel. He was the ex-chief medical officer of Sharing Plow. Dr. Margaret Tempero joined our advisory board. She's the chair of the guideline committee that writes the guidelines on how to treat pancreatic cancer, also the head of UCSF's pancreatic cancer program. Michel Decroix also joined our advisory board. He's globally known out of Paris and really is helpful to companies to build out their R&D pipeline and platform. So operationally, we're really building a more robust team to launch this beyond RenovoGem and pancreatic cancer to make this a true platform play.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the note come out on the edition there, and honestly, I was thinking about being in a meeting with all of these people. It's an intimidating group with some of the backgrounds and education that they've got, but it is an all-star team. And to kind of wrap things up now, what obviously we've had encouraging results. We've had Q3, we've had phase 3 trials. What are kind of the next catalysts that investors and viewers should be watching for?
Let me talk about both short-term and long-term. So long-term, our next interim analysis is expected late next year. This is an event-based study. So based on events or deaths, we do analyses. The first one we showed was a 30% look. The next one will be a 60% look. So upon the 52nd death, we'll do an analysis, and that should be anticipated that event or death should occur late next year. We've already randomized almost 60 patients. So the patients are already in for that analysis. Now it's just a matter of waiting. Unfortunately, for an outcome that we don't want, the way that goes, the better. But based on all of our results today, we expect that late next year. What's going to be interesting, what happens over the next 12 months. As I mentioned, the partnership with Imugene is new, it's early. There are other companies looking at us as well. So looking to build out our platform beyond just pancreatic cancer. With the current combination, we have a bile duct cancer trial we're launching with the same combination, gemcitabine, RenovoGem. That's anticipated in the next few months. And on the heels of that, we're looking at what's the third and fourth clinical trial look like, whether it's with our first product candidate in other tumors or with other partnerships like Imugene. So it's really going to be a large platform built out over the next 12 months. And then the next major inflection would be that next data cut.
Makes sense. Yeah, busy year, a lot to look forward to and a lot on the roadmap. I really appreciate the time today, Shaun. I can tell you've got a lot of irons in the fire there. The company's firing on all cylinders. It's great to hear from you. We're thankful to get some time with you. So I'll kick it back to you for final thoughts and any closing comments there.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting company because there's two opportunities here. One is, as you mentioned earlier on, to bring it back to the patients. We're really having a massive impact on these patients. They don't look or feel like chemotherapy patients. Unfortunately, I think we've both gone through this with family members. We know what it's like. Our patients aren't feeling that same chemo hangover that we've studied so far. In fact, on our website, if you navigate towards the investor section under clinical news, there are several patient stories that actually have been highlighted by local news stations. And it would be great for you to see firsthand how our patients are responding and reacting to our therapy. They much prefer this, obviously, than systemic chemotherapy, not just for prolonging life, but because they can go back to living their normal daily life. Beyond that, as we know, the whole biotech market is a wide open sale. And it's amazing how there's a disconnect in our valuation on where we are as a clinical stage company with positive phase 3 data. So this obviously gives an opportunity on the financial side as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Our audience is primarily retail investors in North America, and this is really where opportunity is found, right? When industries or sectors have been beaten up a little bit and share prices maybe don't reflect company operations. So as always, you guys, not financial advice, do your own due diligence, but definitely one to take a look at. If you're still watching the video at this point, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to join. Shaun will leave all of your company information and social media handles in the video description as well, and we really appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you for your time. Great to chat.
Take care.